It does take us a lot of energy to not talk about the things we've been talking about between segments.
We'll save it for later. We'll save it for later because that one is really good.
That's a really good one. I want to start with something, though, that Dominique declared he did not care at all about, which is the Bronny James story. Because David Samson managed in 4 seconds to make him care. Because David Samson is exercised.
I'm worked up.
About LeBron, and I want to understand why.
The Los Angeles Lakers are so full of and LeBron is the key conductor of that. And it offends me. All they had to do was have J.J. Redick tell the truth when he was hired. All LeBron had to do was tell the truth about his involvement in J.J. Redick, his involvement in the operation of the team. None of them ever copped to drafting Bronny as though he was some sort of talent. P's player development case study 1 is what J.J. Redick said. Give me a break. Then they gave him $7.9 million guaranteed money for a player that didn't deserve a nickel guaranteed. Then LeBron does a victory lap saying, I took less than the maximum. Look at me. Meanwhile, the James family got more than the maximum, which is a cap violation. But the NBA will never investigate it because they suck at the teat of LeBron and the Lakers. Yeah, I'm worked up.
Okay. So when I say someone is obviously playing a character, how can you pretend like I'm not being honest?
That's not a character.
So you are, David, you don't see the obvious reason why you are the worst person possible to make this argument? To make an argument that somehow LeBron James's nepotism is the issue here is...
I told you, so if you listen to Nothing Personal, I'm not against nepotism. I'm a beneficiary of nepotism, but how about admitting it? Why can't there just be why can't J.J. Redick acknowledge what the Lakers did for LeBron?
You, as someone who ran an organization and has told us a number of times about the many things that you have lied about, and you explained why you had to lie, are pretending as if you don't understand why they can't admit it. Like, what are we doing here, Pablo?
I am giving my audience a lot of credit, and I am telling them that this is not the example that we would use when I would lie to people. It's when there was a possibility that people would buy what I am selling. There is no one buying that Bronny James got $7.9 million because of his ability.
I want to explain the specific financial criticism you're making, though, because I don't think our audience necessarily is following as fluently as you are assuming, which is Bronny James got guaranteed money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how much guaranteed money did he get?
$7.9 million over 4 years.
55th pick in the draft, second rounder, right? So guaranteed 7.9. LeBron took a pay cut of some amount.
Just he signed for below the max.
I think it was like $3 million.
2.7, which helped the Lakers tremendously, kept them under the second apron.
Right.
It also enables them to keep a draft pick like in 2032 as draft capital, and it gives them a mid-level exception of 12.9, so there was a reason for it.
And I guess I would think that you would understand that there are some business decisions and arrangements that are worked out in a way that are not always completely, like we had this conversation earlier, and that's what surprises me is they didn't break any laws, right? So why is this particular, and this is where I get upset with you and people like you, is it feels like it depends on who is the person who is circumventing the rules in order to get an advantage without actually breaking them, that determines whether you're going to celebrate it as some crafty business maneuver or you're going to say, this is bullshit. Like, that's what offends me about you.
So, thank you, and I love the communication. What's crafty, if it had been crafty, then we're not having the conversation. Half the stuff I did never got to Letterman or got to the paper.
Except for the time it got to Letterman.
Except for the time it got to Letterman.
Apparently, at the time, Brad Penny said it's ridiculous that he's getting 6-game suspension for drinking milk when you get suspended 10 games for doing steroids.
That's a good point.
That is, listen, hard to
Pretty
argue
good
with
point.
Brad Penny.
So I would like to say this. We are currently not on ESPN. I work at ESPN. And when we do First Take at ESPN, I understand that we have to kind of, in order to, even if you feel like you have been one-upped in an argument and you lost, you have to kind of fight it out because we got to fill up the rest of the segment. It kind of undercuts the show if you're like, hey, yeah, you got me there. LeBron is better than MJ. We're done. You know? But in this setting, David, we can stop this and move on to one of our many other topics by you just admitting, yeah, Dominique, You're right. What I'm saying is completely unfair and my opinion is completely predicated on who is the one who is circumventing the rules. That's all.
I just want to get that down.
Yeah.
I want to get it exactly right. Yeah, Dominique?
Yeah.
Is it yeah, Dominique?
Sure.
Not yes?
You can go yes, whatever you're comfortable with.
But
this,
like
Can
using the wrong
can
emoji.
I try to be a David Samson translator? I want to workshop David's spin of why he is criticizing some lies while also being the person who is most famous in our business for acknowledging when he himself lied in a parallel position. David has taken the position in sports media of being the guy who is saying, if you can't fool me with your lie, I'm going to call you out for lying, and I'm the only one who can do that because I have been a giant liar.
Okay, so I think that no one here believes that they are being fooled by this lie. Like, we had this conversation in the pre-show where I said, when people ask me to do something and I change my mind and say I don't want to do it, I say, hey, I don't really feel like it. I'm good. Whereas most people, I think, make up a lie. And I said, why make up the lie? Because the person who is receiving it recognizes that you're lying. And then you guys made the fair point that it's kind of like a courtesy where they know you're lying, I know you're lying, but you care enough about me to make up some foolishness. I think this falls in the same category because on its face, no, and I think a lot of the things that, like when you would argue about sellouts, or you would argue that you guys would lie about sellouts. You would argue that, right? We all knew it was bull, but we were like, all right, David, we appreciate you taking a shot at the lie. Like, I think this falls in the same category. And obviously, you would never be so terribly offended by a team president or a team owner misleading the public about how many tickets they're selling or how good they think their team is going to be. So when you are going into a full rebuild.
It's different, though, in a salary cap league. It's different in a salary cap league when we're talking about when you're screwing around with salary cap, salary floor. And
but the
payroll.
way that they did it gave them more room. So it's not as if, like, I don't understand the point that you're making. So you're saying that they're getting some unfair advantage over the other teams. That's what you're upset about.
I'm saying they're giving LeBron James more than LeBron James is allowed to get.
So
he's getting over the max, and he's getting credit for going under the max, and that's what bothers me.
So we should point out there's also an argument, a strong argument, that suggests that the Lakers cap is actually worse because they got Bronny. But what David is saying is that LeBron and Bronny and the Lakers are acting in concert. It's an inside job. And so LeBron James giving money back is not actually giving money back because the family is getting the money. And so what this raises, Dominique, is I think it's an eternal point that I think you and I have talked about, Dominique, actually, which is like the max salary and salary caps. And like LeBron James giving something back, what that says about a sport in which he can't get more because, of course, there are laws keeping his full financial potential in check.
So by your own words, the NBA has been sucking at LeBron James' teat. They have gotten more value from LeBron James than LeBron James has gotten from them. Well, they've gotten more value from LeBron James than they've paid him. We'd agree with that. The fact that the max salary exists is evidence to that.
So there are very few examples where a company doesn't get a greater benefit from the action of an employee.
Okay, so yes.
LeBron's been paid $583 million in his career. Has the Lakers gone up in value by more than $583 million? Yes. That's why people want to own teams.
Okay, so what it sounds like to me is they have found a way to. So if you were running a company, and it has to be a sports team or not, and there was a way that you could compensate someone who's made you billions of dollars, and there was a way that you could go about doing it that was not illegal, and it would only cost you a couple $1 million, you'd obviously do it. And I hate that I find that it seems like I'm in the position where I'm defending the move that the Lakers did, because like I recognize that it's naked nepotism, and I'm not a proponent of that in any way, but I also don't care that much that they're finding a way to give a man who's made them billions of dollars, find a way to give his family $7 million more. That to me is odd, and I can't believe that you don't see how differently you view these situations depending on the person who is making the decision or who is benefiting from this. Like I could use countless examples of how teams and owners and leagues circumvent laws and rules in order to benefit a lot more than one dude getting $8 million and to be up in arms today over that and not recognize the hypocrisy of that is confusing to me.
Related, we still need David Samson's top 5 people he's fired. But proceed.
Yeah, Dominique.
Okay.
I totally agree
Okay.
that in this instance, I have made a mistake with this position.
That's all.
And I think that we should go back to talking about the topic we were going to talk about
Hand
before.
him Dan's, maybe.
Yeah, you want dance?
I'm proud of you, man. Good job. See, the good thing about admitting that you are wrong is that now you're right. So great.
You're exhausting. In a good way. It's
no,
fun to
I-
be with you. Would you like a jelly bean?
Nah, I'm good, man.
Thank you for saying no. Getting one anyway.
That was nice.
But I want to get to the LeBron part of this for a second
Sure.
because
It's
I
a
do
real
think
story.
Oh, it's a real story because the most famous athlete in basketball, maybe on the planet, Leo Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo notwithstanding, is figuring out ways in which he can realize the true value of being LeBron James at age 40.
Right.
And so the strongest argument for why Bronny was taken by the Lakers and why it's not a big deal is what Dominique was alluding to, which is this is just part of the way that you make LeBron James whole.
Right.
And so the idea of, is this a hill worth defending and dying on because they could have taken someone else who they may have cut in camp or just been a two-way contract, I cannot get exercised about this because I live in the realpolitik of like superstar management.
So there are benefits that come along with being one of the greatest ever to do it. Like there are benefits with coming along with just being rich in America. And one of the benefits is you get to tell your team who to draft at 55. And yes, you could make an argument that this is a spot that this could have been Patty Mills. Or this is whoever was there, like you could make that argument. It's a hard argument to make, but on the just baseline of ethical behavior, yes, you are right that it is unethical. If we accept that Bronny James does not deserve this spot, yes, I agree it is unethical to force him in there. However, the other argument you could make is a defense of Bronny in that this is not great for him.
He looks despondent, doesn't he?
I have no space for arguing that LeBron James does not deserve this or is finding a way to circumvent the cap and all that stuff. That's the stuff that annoys me. So, like, if you want to talk about, like, this is setting Bronny up for a failure, this is not good for him, they don't need the money, so why are they doing this, putting him in this kind of lose-lose situation, I'm on board with that. I have a harder time getting on board with you saying, well, but the 55th pick, though. But I can still get on board with that just on, like, basic ethical behavior.